Picture this. You're standing on the edge of a massive infrastructure project. Maybe it's a new 6-lane interstate or a sprawling 500-acre industrial park. The air is thick with the smell of diesel, and the ground is literally vibrating under your boots. In front of you are two machines that look like they belong on a different planet. One is a long, sleek beast with a blade tucked under its belly, moving with the precision of a diamond cutter. The other is a roaring, articulated monster that looks like it's trying to swallow the earth whole. Most people look at a construction site and just see big yellow tractors. But if you're the guy signing the checks, or the operator who's been in the seat for 20 years, you know that picking the wrong one of these two is the fastest way to turn a multi-million-dollar profit into a catastrophic loss. Today, we are diving into the ultimate heavy equipment showdown, the motor grader versus the wheel tractor scraper. We're going to look at why these two machines, despite both being dirt movers, are about as different as a scalpel and a sledgehammer. And more importantly, we're going to find out why one of them is the king of the mountain, while the other is the master of the millimeter. Let's start with the brute. If you've got 10 million cubic yards of earth that needs to be 5 miles away by next Tuesday, you don't call a fleet of dump trucks, you call the scrapers. The wheel tractor scraper is, quite frankly, a marvel of engineering. Think of it as a self-loading, high-speed, dirt-eating vacuum. While an excavator has to sit still and wait for a truck, and a truck has to wait to be filled, the scraper does it all at once. It's got a massive bowl in the middle with a sharp cutting edge at the bottom. As the operator moves forward, they drop that bowl, and the machine literally shaves a layer of earth right off the ground, forcing it up into the hopper. Now here is where the USA-sized power comes in. On these massive job sites across the Midwest or the Sun Belt, you'll often see push-pull configurations. This is where two scrapers, each with maybe 600 or 900 horsepower, link up. The rear one pushes the front one to help it slice through tough clay, and then they swap. It's a dance of 100-ton machines moving at 30 miles per hour. But here's the kicker. For all that power, the scraper is a rough tool. It's designed for volume. It's designed to get the site close enough. If you told a scraper operator to leave a surface smooth enough for a paved road, they'd laugh you off the site. The physics just don't allow it. The tires are too big, the weight distribution shifts as the bowl fills, and the machine is constantly porpoising on its suspension. This is exactly where the project hits a wall. This is when the brute force of the scraper reaches its limit, and that is when we bring in the surgeon. Enter the motor grader. If you ask any old-school site foreman who the most skilled operator on the job is, 9 times out of 10, they'll point to the guy in the grader. Why? Because the grader is arguably the most difficult piece of heavy equipment to master. Look at the design. It's long, really long. That's not just for show. That massive wheelbase is there to neutralize the bumps in the ground. If the front wheels go over a 6-inch rock, the blade in the middle barely moves. This allows the grader to achieve what we call final grade. We're talking about tolerances that would make a carpenter nervous. On a high-spec highway project, a grader operator is expected to leave the surface within a 1/4 inch of the engineering plans. If they're off by even a little bit, the asphalt won't lay right, water will pool in the wrong places, and the entire road will fail within 5 years. The grader's secret weapon is the mold board, that blade tucked in the center. Unlike a dozer blade that just goes up and down, the mold board can do everything. It can shift left or right, it can tip forward to cut or back to carry, and it can even be flipped almost vertical to cut a high bank or a drainage ditch. But here's the thing. A grader is not a mover. If you try to use a motor grader to move a mountain of dirt, you're going to have a very bad day. The machine isn't built for that kind of stress. Its circle, the gear system that holds the blade, is a precision instrument. Forcing it to do the work of a scraper is like trying to use a Rolex to hammer in a nail. You might get the nail in, but you've just destroyed a masterpiece. So why does this matter to you? Well, if you're over 30 and you've spent any time watching how America is built, you've noticed that our infrastructure is a game of thin margins and tight deadlines. Let's look at a real-world scenario. Imagine you're building a massive new Amazon fulfillment center. The first phase is mass excavation. You've got a hill that needs to become a flat pad. If you try to do this with graders, you'll still be there 3 years from now, and you'll have burned through a dozen transmissions. You need the scrapers. They roar in, they scrape the top off, they haul it to the low end of the site, and they dump it in lifts. They are the workforce. They do the heavy lifting that makes the project possible. But then, once the dirt is moved, the scrapers leave. The site looks like a mess. Ruts everywhere, piles of loose soil, no drainage. That's when the finish team arrives with the graders. The grader operator begins the art of the grade. They aren't just smoothing the dirt, they are managing the physics of water. Every road in America is crowned. It's slightly higher in the middle than it is on the edges. You can't see it with the naked eye when you're driving at 70 miles per hour, but it's there. If it wasn't, your car would hydroplane and slide off the road every time it drizzled. The grader operator creates that crown. They feel the soil through the hydraulics. They know exactly how much to pitch the blade to make sure the water flows into the storm drains and not into the foundation of the building. This brings us to the skill gap, which is something we talk a lot about in the US these days. You can teach a smart kid to run a scraper in a week. It's about timing and guts. But a Finnish grader operator? That's a career. It takes years to develop the seat-of-the-pants feel acquired to know exactly what that blade is doing behind you. It's a dying art, and in the world of construction, these guys are the rock stars. They're the last ones off the site before the pavers move in, and if they did their job right, the pavers have an easy day. If they didn't, everyone's in trouble. Now let's talk about the future, because the battle between the scraper and the grader is being changed by something we all use every day: GPS. In the old days, a grader operator had to follow blue tops, little wooden stakes in the ground that told them how deep to cut. They had to get out of the cab, check the stakes, get back in, and guess. Today, both these machines are wired into the sky. Modern scrapers have sequence assist and GPS mapping. The operator just drives, and the machine automatically adjusts the bowl height to ensure they don't dig too deep. But even with satellites and 3D modeling, the core identity of these machines hasn't changed. The scraper is still the bulk king, and the grader is still the precision master. In fact, the technology has only made their specialization more extreme. Because we can now measure things so accurately, the demands on the grader operator have actually gone up. Engineers now design complex drainage systems that require the dirt to be shaped in ways that were impossible 30 years ago. So why does one dominate where the other fails? It's simple. Design dictates destiny. The scraper dominates because of its efficiency of motion. It eliminates the middleman of the truck and the loader. It is a self-contained production line. Its failure point is finesse. It's too heavy, too clumsy, and too focused on volume to ever be delicate. The grader dominates because of its geometry. The mid-mount blade and the long frame are the only way to achieve a flat surface over a long distance. Its failure point is strength. It doesn't have the traction or the structural reinforcement to move bulk yardage. When you see these two working together, it's a beautiful thing. It's a symphony of steel. The scrapers do the dirty work, moving the mountains and filling the valleys. And then, as the dust settles, the grader moves in like a finishing carpenter, turning a rough pile of dirt into a perfectly engineered foundation for the modern world. The next time you're stuck in traffic in a construction zone, don't just complain about the delay. Look out the window. Look for the scrapers, the big articulated monsters with the twin engines screaming. And look for the grader, the long, elegant machine working quietly off to the side. You're looking at the two reasons we have roads, airports, and cities. One represents the power of the American spirit to move obstacles out of the way, and the other represents our obsession with getting things exactly right. They are the titans of the earth, and neither one could survive a day in the other's world. Thanks for watching, and if you've ever spent time in the seat of one of these legends, drop a comment below. We want to hear your stories from the dirt. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more deep dives into the machines that built our world. We'll see you on the next one.